Hello and welcome to ThomasGeigerCar. Today with the Mercedes Vision 111. If this car kind of looks familiar to you, that is by purpose, because it should remind you on the C-111. 50 years ago, this car was launched as an experimental car and it was stunning. It was like a spaceship entering Stuttgart, achieved lots of world records with a V8 engine, with a Wankel engine, even with a diesel engine. And people sent it in blank checks to buy it. But only 16 cars were produced and nobody outside of the company ever drove them. But the car was always in the mind of the engineers and the designers. And now, half a century later, it's coming back as a vision car for an electric supercar. If you want to know what to expect from that vehicle and how the story will continue, join me on my first walk around and I'll tell you more about it. There are lots of parallels between the original car and the new car. It's not only the color, white Herbst, called like a Swabian wine in the original 50 years ago version, and now it's a copper tone. No, it's also the shape and it's the size. The car is not much more than 4 meters in length and it's less than 1.20 meters in height. So it's one of the lowest Mercedes ever, even with the battery in the ground. We have a very reduced design with lots of bows and no sharp lines, just a few to give the car a contrast. And for sure, we have the iconic gull wings. Mercedes is claiming they are the inventors of the gull wings and they are the only ones to build them, allegedly. And that's the reason why also the Vision 111 has the gull wing doors. While the original car was a very pure interior with only functional parts, this one is luxury. Mercedes is claiming to be the most luxurious car company in the world, and even a sports car nowadays looks like a lounge. We'll take a look at it very shortly after this walk around and I'll tell you more of the details. But overall, it's very luxurious and it combines the look of the 70s, like these seatings, with lots of new digital features. If we go around at the back, we're seeing lots of efficiency features. This car is a hypercar. It should be very sleek and very efficient, and it needs lots of aero work to stay stable on the track or on the road. Since it's a very exclusive car and it's a one-off, I have to be very careful when entering it. So I have to put some covers over my shoes to keep the luxury white leather clean. So bear with me for a second and then I'll slide into. The car is looking quite elegant. Not sure if the driver does, but let's see and let's try. Mercedes is talking about a luxury lounge, and this car really is more luxurious than any other sports car. It is pretty futuristic, it is very reduced, and on the other hand, it still plays with the ancient design clues. The cluster instrument, for example, is a screen that goes from a pillar from one side to the other, but it's looking like in the 70s with very bold pixels and with very reduced graphics. They can do it better. That's what they're showing here on a small screen, and there is also an augmented reality system that shows the next generation of commands and controls. When it comes to driving, Mercedes is using the next generation EV technology. They've incorporated YASA, a British startup specialist for very high power, very small electric engines, reduced to 1/3 of the size and the weight, and it's easy to get more than 1,000 horsepower in a car like that. Also, the battery is more efficient. They're working with round cells here in the floor, so I assume this car can go more than 300 kilometers per hour. It has a range that's theoretically possible of more than 500 kilometers, and yes, 1,000 horsepower should be an easy game. This car over there, the old one, was the record breaker in the 70s, and this one could be the record breaker for the Generation E. Thanks for joining me on that first walk around with the new Mercedes Vision 111, a car that is as stunning as the original experimental car from half a century ago, and a car that will again raise a flood of blank checks in the post box in Stuttgart. But I fear they will not be answered and this car will not make it into production. Yes, there is lots of design clues and lots of technology that we will see in the first Mercedes-AMG electric hypercar due to the mid of the century, but this car will stay unique. But there is a small detail that can comfort you. You can't buy the car, but Mercedes has created a line of accessories like this beautiful bag that you can actually buy. So you can't own the vehicle, but you can own some parts of it and dream of the car of the future to come. Thank you, 谢谢, 再见, and goodbye.